This is the BoomBlender from Quagliardi Audio. It's their own plugin model of their 576 FET compressor hardware. I genuinely wanted to share this with you guys because there are a few things that really stand out to me. Now, first, it blurs the line between analog and digital. It brings a ton of mojo. Second, its workflow is quite different than their own 576 hardware, so it's more of a unique tool than just another 1176 workflow emulation. And finally, I've already started using it regularly in select spots. I found it really useful for a few things, and I think you're gonna find it useful as well. For more useful tools, check out thestevekinney.com, where you'll find my Luna Master course, UAD presets, control profiles, and more. Let's talk about the BoomBlender. The first thing that you're gonna notice with the layout here is that it does not at all look like an 1176. And because the controls are nothing like an 1176, the way you're gonna use it is not like an 1176. It would have absolutely been a choice to not make this work or have the workflow of an 1176, right? It doesn't have the input, output, attack, release. These controls make you wanna use this in a completely different way. One, it makes you wanna use it faster because you've just got the one knob, how much compression. And your attack and release are more so tied to these three selectors. I think it's really cool to be inside the mind of the developer because they offer the purebred 1176 style FET compression already. That's their 576, and it sounds amazing. Now you get that sound with this plugin, but again, you're now digital, you're using this in a different manner. So again, stylistically, I think this is really interesting to at least bring up and acknowledge. So you've got a comp, you've got your standard in out, you've got dry wet blend, all the usual suspects, power, stereo, link. But the magic is really down the middle here, okay? You've got your THD selector and style selector, and that is all of where this vibe is coming from, in addition to the modeling of their hardware itself. It really sounds awesome. All right, so let's talk about where I actually love to use this. So I've got a session pulled up here, and I'm just gonna play a bit of the chorus. I've got the drums soloed, and I'll make sure that we hear the before first. So we'll mute this entirely. All right, here we go. So I'm obviously using it to get a bit more body, attack, punch, you name it, right? I'm getting a fatter, more out front snare. When I mute that side change channel, the snare kind of starts to fall a little further back. Now in this case, it's very, very subtle, right? Like you have to have headphones on to really notice this, or have good speakers and be in a listening environment. Maybe you can hear it on a phone. I doubt it though. Now, normally I love to call on this plugin. This is the core comp, which I also love this and will still use this. But in this case, I think it actually kind of beats it out. All right, so let's do a bit of a head-to-head here with the core comp and the BoomBlender. Again, I do love the core comp. I think it sounds great, and I'll still find a lot of use for it. But I think I found a new champion for this sort of trick, what I'm trying to do here. So we'll start by listening to the dry. Here's just the dry. I mean, I'm really just getting a ton of snap, character, and life while still giving that aggressive snap and aggressive compression. Again, this is a side chain, so I'm blending this signal in with the rest of the drum mix. It's not the main snare sound, it's supplementing everything else. So that's a very, very specific use case there. Let's listen to it in context now, with and without this sidechain in. So it's certainly adding a lot in context, I think, and it's really bringing out the snare and the impact of the snare in a nice way. At this point, it's much less of like a direct head-to-head at that point. I'm not really interested in doing a comparison of what I was, auditioning. I think the BoomBlender really did a good job here. So what else can it really do though? Well, let's just kind of cycle through the sounds, right? We know what it kind of does here. Let's check out the other harmonics. I mean, that's really nice. It's all subtle, right? It's all extremely subtle. All right, next let's talk about the style sounds, right? Now this boom feature is their own proprietary function that you can find on the 576 compressor. And it has some sort of expansion in addition to compression. And it's really, really unique. If you haven't seen my full review of the Quagliardi lineup, check it out. There's tons of sound examples on the 576s, which are in my rack right here. But this is kind of what the boom feature does. And I might even try it on a different sound source here, like the overheads. But yeah, check this out. So that's drastically changing the length of the snare. It's bringing out a lot more of the like snares on the bottom side. Let's do a better example of the boom function on the room mics here. First, here's snap. This is all the same settings, by the way. First off, this is absolutely crushed. And yeah, we're now just kind of showing off like what it can be and what's happening under the hood. So, I mean, you really hear that's like obviously extreme levels of compression, but you can also hear how it's keeping that bloom of the compression as you're compressing it, right? Let's hear it on something else. Let's hear it on some acoustic guitars here. Now, fun fact, I've also got the new Sunset Sound on this. I'm not really gonna demo that out, but you will hear it here, just fun fact. I'm actually demoing that one with the 7-day or 14-day, whatever they give you there. Let's pull up the Quagliardi BoomBlender. All right, let's try a preset. Let's see what they got. Here's Sideburn. That's a little bit of harmonic distortion for you if you're into that sort of thing. I love it. Sounds cool. That's an interesting sound. All right, let's hear that in context, see if that sits in nice. I think that's pretty cool. I dig that. That's nice. All right, what about on a vocal? I've got a scratch vocal here, and I've got two compressors doing kind of the classic 1176 LA2A kind of thing. Love the soft tube one for that. Let's get rid of those, and let's see if the BoomBlender is a good fit. And look, you click on that, and it does load up in mono, which is really cool. Now for something like this, I probably would not be in Boom. I'd be in maybe Leveler. Maybe I'll throw in a high pass just to be sure that it doesn't get triggered by anything under the 80. And then for this, I don't know, I'll kind of demo that out. We'll see. And we'll go fully wet first just to see if that'll work. Real big, the real big comes on strong behind closed doors. I'ma press you up against the kitchen cabinet, stuff you on the linoleum floors. I'm an undercover lover that calls on buttoning lingerie and lace. On the main street, I'm a lady that give you in a bedroom, baby. And I ain't the way. Real big, the real big comes on strong behind closed doors. I'ma press you up against the kitchen cabinet, stuff you on the linoleum floors. I'm an undercover lover that calls on buttoning lingerie and lace. On the main street, I'm a lady that give you in a bedroom, baby. And I ain't. Yeah, really cool. So you can definitely hear the analog mojo starting to creep in. Like this really sounds, if you close your eyes, this sounds like hardware. A lot of times with digital modeling, like you really gotta attack it differently. You really have to try to dial it in, but you don't have to do much to get this to start to sound like analog. We haven't even engaged the THD, so let's try that now. Real big, the real big comes on strong behind closed doors. I'ma press you up against the kitchen cabinet, stuff you on the linoleum floors. I'm an undercover lover that calls on buttoning lingerie and... You can really hear, that's a lot of harmonic distortion that's happening. Now, of course, we're driving it a lot too, but yeah. Analog, that is analog. I did like soft, I thought that was nice. Real big, the real big comes on strong behind closed doors. I'ma press you up against the kitchen cabinet, stuff you on the linoleum floors. I'm an undercover lover that calls on buttoning lingerie and lace. On the main street, I'm a lady that give you in a bedroom, baby. And I ain't. It's fast, it's simple, it's easy to use, it sounds analog, you can use it on a variety of sources. I find that I love it on that sidechain trick for drums, anything percussive. But you let me know what you think. So I've actually known about this plugin for a while, dating back to NAM or NAM, I don't know. I made a few videos on the trade show, and you know, I don't even know how to say it right at this point. My wife's Australian, and sometimes her verbiage, the way that she pronounces things kind of rubs off on me. And so I don't know, you let me know what's the right way to say it. But that's the first time I saw this plugin, and I was really stoked back then. I listened to it on the demo floor, and I was like, whoa, this sounds really, really killer. Because obviously I have two of the units here. I've had them for some time, and getting a chance to use the plugin, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. So there's the long and the short of how I've been using the BoomBlender and where it fits into my workflow. I'd love to hear how you might use it. Drop a comment below. Let me know what you think of it. Subscribe for all things Luna and Universal Audio. And for more tools, workflows, and ways to improve your productions, check out thestevekinney.com, where you'll find my Luna Master Course, UAD presets and control profiles, and more. Appreciate you guys. See you in another video soon. Cheers.